You know what I mean? Like, where she's not even a marketing director yet.
Yeah.
Chris Solis, like, carrying a backpack, looked like he was 16 years old, started with a business, but we were all under one roof. But the beauty of this business is, and same for all of you, there's going to be a time where you remember a day like this, where we were sitting in a room and we were all in one office, to then it became, we have offices all over the place because it's expanded, and you become confident that you can go do the exact same things that are happening here in this office.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what CFR as an organization does this year in 2026, because there's so much room for you guys. I think what was something that you guys were saying, something about Los Angeles, like
LA takeover?
LA takeover. Like, think about just in the LA area, how like 15 minutes from here, you could have another office. 15 minutes from there, you could have another office, and we probably never cross paths. Like, you would think, like, even for me over in Pasadena, not that far, maybe like, I don't know, 30 minutes just with drive, and, you know, if you drive like I do, maybe it's like 20 minutes, but it's not like we're running into each other all the time. Like, we're so densely populated in Southern California that there's so much room, which means there's so much room for growth, but it also means there's so many people that we gotta go see. So what I thought I would do is start by telling you a little bit about my background, especially since there are definitely folks that maybe haven't heard my story before. But before I started in the business, my background really was family. Anybody close family, or maybe you're not like super close to them, but they live nearby. You don't always like it, like, Mom, she's coming over again, or whatever it was. But like, this is my family over here on my left, your right. And I noticed as I was putting these pictures together, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of red. There's like a lot of USC stuff happening here. I went to USC, but this was, you can kind of see a little bit of, well, where I come from. My mom is white, my dad is Chinese. The three kids that were produced from that union. That's my grandmother over there. She's got red hair. And then you've got my Chinese grandmother that's missing in there. She does not have red hair, right? So I grew up just in a mixed family where I'm used to looking at people that look differently than me, but I have no idea. Did anyone ever think this way? Like, it's not like you're looking at yourself. So when you're in environments, I just feel like I don't know what it is, like whoever I'm with. Like, if I'm with someone who's Chinese, I'm like, cool, these are my people. If I'm with somebody who's not Chinese, I'm like, cool, these are my people. And I was just talking to someone, because we just had our event with MSM out in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was a guy named Sergio. He runs an office down in San Diego, and he's like, man, I feel like maybe I want to move to Nashville. And I was like, yeah, this is a really cool city. He's like, my concern was, you know, how racist is it here in Nashville? And I said, yeah, I guess. We started talking about how anyway, that's not road, but we're very politically incorrect. We talk, and anyway, but he's like, this place feels really great. This place feels cool. And I said, yeah, probably if you drove like 2 hours from here, maybe it wouldn't. But I feel like Nashville is really, it's a good spot. And then I shared kind of that same thing of like, I kind of just feel like I fit in everywhere, no matter what. Like, I just decide that I fit in, even if I very much look different from everybody else. And he says to me, he's like, Diana, you know you don't look white, right? And I was like, oh, I mean, I don't know what I look like. I'm just here, I'm just in PHP. And the other thing that I like about PHP is it's super diverse. Yeah. That it's weird if you went to a big event, like when you guys go to your big event next week, it would be weird if everybody looked the same.
Yeah.
It would be weird if you didn't hear people speaking other languages. It would be weird if we were all speaking the same language. Like, you see people speaking on stage. At our event, we had somebody who was speaking in Nigerian, we had someone speaking in Spanish, we had people speaking in English, but you know what I mean, where it's just like, we kind of are used to it being this melting pot. And I think that's something that's super special about PHP. I was naturally drawn to that because that's like where I started. Like, melting pot is called in my parents' household. But a little bit of some other things in my background. Played sports my whole life, so I feel like I've been an athlete since since probably I didn't even know how to walk, like putting you in dance classes or tumbling classes when you're little or whatever,
Wow.
and just fell in love with soccer and played it from till they let me, like however young I was, where there was probably like some girls that played together through college at USC, which was a lot of fun and learned how to be super competitive. So that was the other thing that drew me to this business. It was just competition. And the competition is fun. Anyone in the room, you're kind of like, I'm a little nervous about competition, or competition kind of freaks me out. You were not that. You like salivate for an opportunity to compete. But if anyone's super honest, I feel like now already I'm like, you're the people that don't want to raise your hand. You're like, Diana, I already feel like you're calling me out, but competition is so much fun.
Yes.
And you've got to, if you've never competed, say, in sports before, or siblings, if you have siblings, like there was competition. There was probably competition to eat lunch or breakfast or whatever it was when you were little. But competition is a fun thing, and if you've never experienced it being fun like that before, start incorporating it in the business.
Yeah.
I always say let your freak flag fly, like just go for it. Like who cares if you win, you lose. I mean, I want you to win, but like the attitude is just go for it. Don't worry so much about, because usually our lack of confidence around competition is not what if I win. It's what if I lose?
Yeah.
What if I look stupid? What if this doesn't work out? And if you could just change it to, I'm gonna run through that freaking wall, I'm gonna beat this guy or that girl, I'm gonna whatever it is, you will find that you let go of so many inhibitions that have been holding you back, and you just have fun. And then you actually start to really win.
Yeah.
There's a picture over there with my sister and I playing soccer again. I think this was a game where she actually scored a goal on me or something like that. And she's my younger sister. She's very happy about that. And it's, for some reason, it's commemorated forever. Because I always have this picture. And the older sister, you're the one who played competitively. And your older, it's like, even that was competition. But it was fun competition. And 20 years later, she's still reminding me of it. The picture in the middle was when I was in Paris. This is at the Louvre. And it's my favorite piece of art that's in the background. And I went to school for fine art. So if you're like, oh, hey, to be successful in insurance and financial services, you've got to have this business background. I was the weird girl that studied art in college. My parents were like, oh my gosh, she's going to be in debt forever. And what is she going to do with an art degree? And I didn't do anything with an art degree because I got into this business, but I still love art today. So when I started also, the draws, the things that were exciting, family environment, competitive, they wanted to teach me diversity. The areas where I was a little like, I don't know, is that I was the weird art girl. That I'm like, Patrick Bet-David is the founder of the company, and he's like this hard-charging dude, and I'm like the opposite of, like, if you just put us next to each other. I think I have a picture of him on the next slide. Over there on the right.
Yeah.
So that was Patrick stopping by our office. This was a number of years ago. But if you, like when I first got started, I'm like, I don't know about Patrick being my coach. Like he seems super intense. And he is super intense, by the way.
Yeah.
Like all the things that I was maybe like, ooh, they're all true. But I think it got back to the insecurities that I had of, is this going to be scary? Like, is this going to be too much for me? And then it was like, well, let's just give it a shot. If you kind of have that attitude for 2026, like, why don't I just give myself the shot to find out rather than kind of like tiptoeing and playing scared? You're going to discover the best version of yourself.
Yes.
So some of these pictures, this is now during PhD, and I realized I put some random photos on here. As the challenge when I'm asked to bring photos is that I can just get lost in searching and remembering, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hours gone by, I need to get to work, right? So I'll go through some of these things, but like my experience during PhD, and I put it over on the side, building myself and building teams. That's really what you're doing. So when you go to your big event next week, you are working on building yourself and building a team. You're a part of a team, but you're also looking to build your team. And you will discover that even if you're that weird art girl at the beginning, hey, that you're gonna find your place, and frankly, the things that make you special and make you different and make you unique are the things that are going to make you thrive as a leader if you grow. So mentorship from Patrick David, huge. He has probably been the toughest coach I've ever had, and I've had some really tough coaches, but he's also been the coach that has pulled the most out of me at the same time. So little sidebar, if you ever feel like you're like butting heads with your leadership, and that could be with your marketing director, that could be with your VP, your chairman's council, whatever it is, I promise you those are going to be relationships that are going to serve you down the road more than you ever know, as long as you get through it. I think like the best relationships, there's going to be times where there's going to be some friction. Probably the relationships that don't matter that much are the ones where it's just very surfacey, like, oh, hey, hi, whatever. But if you can have a leader that knows how to like get under your skin, it's not because they're just mean. Maybe they're mean, but I don't think they're trying to be mean, right? They're saying something that's true and you don't like it. That's usually what it is. That's the case with Pat. I'm like, Pat, there are times where I'm like, I hope you get a flat tire. Like, just something a little tough happens to you today because I can't believe you said that to me or whatever it was. But I will also tell you how I used that in times when maybe I was the most frustrated in my business, with conversations he and I had, that I just put it on my back of, I'm going to show him. And it could be more often than not, if I was upset, it was, I'm going to prove him wrong. Like, because in my mind, he wouldn't say this, but in my mind it was, you don't think you can do it. In my mind it was, you don't believe in me. Now, mind you, he absolutely did, but there were times where those tough conversations led me to be in this spot where you could get into a funk and just say, I quit. And lots of people do that. Or you could say, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And it's funny, that could be a motivation for things, but the person I most look forward to high-fiving, to being like, I effing did it, the team did it, whatever it was Patrick at the end of the day. Talk about complicated relationship, right? Like those are the best kind of coaches. So some of these other pictures, you gotta get in environments, you gotta get into elite meetings. You've got your big event next week. That is an important meeting for you to be in, but there's gonna be opportunities, not just to show up to the event, but those little sidebars where maybe Steph says, hey, we've got a speaker that's gonna talk to the first 10 people that get to our room at 7 a.m., something crazy. And if you're staying somewhere else, if you're still in bed, then you're gonna miss those opportunities. This picture at the top, this is the, what was this event called? I forgot what it was, but was that the name of the event? I know we watched The Last Dance, but with
board council retreat.
Yeah, I think it was the board council retreat. And Patrick, this is where he was launching. This was before we were acquired by Integrity, launching how we all have to have our last dance. And it was a very weird conversation because he's preparing for Integrity to acquire us. And it was just a weird conversation. I remember raising my hand and be like, Pat, I'm having a hard time because I feel like you're telling me that I have to have an exit plan. Like I have to have a time where I'm going to say I'm done in this business, because we were going through championships for, if you've seen the series The Last Dance. Anyway, and he's like, no, this isn't about you picking your exit strategy, but it's about you preparing for how many championships are you committed to achieving. Is it 1 ring? Is it 2 rings? Is it 5 rings? How many championships, what kind of run are you going to go on where you could decide at the end of it, this is going to be my last dance? And so it actually was a meeting. At first I thought it was like, this is weird, or like we're planning on when we're going to retire, and I don't ever want to retire from this business. You don't have to. Like you could do it forever. It's awesome. And it was more about, no, when are you going to elevate yourself to the next level, and how much endurance do you have to achieve that many championships? Because people were saying like, I'm committed to 3 championships, I'm committed to 4, I'm committed to 5. And so he broke it down for us of what that was going to look like, and it actually ignited one of the biggest runs that our company ever had.
You got this picture in the middle here. You got Steph and Chris that are in that photo as well. That was when we were in Aruba. Some of these trips, you know, some of these elite meetings you got to be a part of. It's qualifying for trips to travel all over the darn world. Anyone like to travel?
Yeah.
Anyone like to travel and, you know, someone else pays for it? It's free.
Woo!
Yeah. We like trips, right? And so those are things too. I think you guys have a trip coming up somewhere? Cancun, is that what you said?
Cancun.
Awesome, which is, I mean, I'll show you another picture in a little while. Never mind, I'm getting distracted. Let's go through the rest of these. So the one on the right side, that was up in Big Bear. This was, can you believe it? This is when Cornerstone, Nobility could all fit in one house. Somehow we got all those people in one house, which is kind of crazy. And we can't fit there anymore. I actually saw, I think it was not all of TGA, but TGA had a really quick day shop at that same house. You know, you get it, so I don't fall down the stage. But just those are things too where there were so many leaders that were born there. There's so many, even at your big event that you're going to have next week, don't underestimate the importance of the relationships you're going to build. My first big event, I went with one person I worked with, she was my one recruit. And so we went to Vegas together. And I remember we stayed in a room with a bunch of people, and it was very uncomfortable because we were all dead broke, and so we just fit as many people into a little room like sardines. But that I remember coming back from that event, and the director asked me, she said, what was your biggest takeaway? And I said it was the relationships that I formed. This business went from work, and very logical of me thinking about making money and running a business, to, hey, these are people that I actually want to hang around and get to know. These are people that are more like me than they are different from me. And that was really powerful. There were a lot of other things that happened at that first event, but I remember it feeling more like family. And because of that, I committed more afterward. During PHP, getting married. Running this business single versus running this business married. By the way, both you can do. And I've done both, and I like the married version for sure. But there were so many benefits, I think, for myself, for my husband Kelroy, that we both were working on ourselves in this business. And I think God was so great about just keeping these blinders on me that I wasn't looking around. I wasn't even interested in dating. I remember someone saying, so Diana, do you think you have your sights set on anyone or whatever? I don't know how they asked it. And I was like, no. And I remember saying, like, it for sure will not be somebody in the future because I'm just not interested. Like, I'm just here to get to work. And then lo and behold, there's this guy that's been around in the business and has been there, it was like blinders. I just didn't see him that way. And then I remember one day where it was like, I can't imagine my life without him in it. And it was like God just took the blinders off and said, okay, now you're ready. But I know when you get rooted in the right things, so for me it was about making sure I was aligned upward just with God. Like, God, what do you want?
Yeah.
As you guys are planning and doing your business plans, I know we did like vision boards last month. You should really be praying for God to this, and this is something that I'm doing right now. I've got my, well, we can't see it, but I've got my vision board on my phone. I've got my business plan, and then I've been really praying about it. I'm like, Lord, if there's anything on there that's just my will, but it's not your will, could you just let me know, and I'll just delete it. I'll just remove it. If there's anything where I need to create more space for your will, because too much of my will is kind of in there, just let me know, because frankly, I just want it to be all your will. Because imagine if this year in 2026, you were just totally aligned with the things God wants for you. And speaking again of like Kelroy and I getting married, he and I both independently were working on becoming whole human beings, okay? Versus, how about not so whole human beings, and then finding each other, and then looking for the other person to fill the holes that we have. Like, that's just, I don't know. It's not going to be as strong and powerful as two whole human beings that are aligned upwards with what God wants for our lives, and then we meet, then we come together, then we go build something desk that's anointed. So for some of you at this big event, I don't care if you're single or if you're married, if you have a partner or if you don't. When you're at this event, I know, I don't even want to say I know, you figuring out how you can be a better version of you, leaving that event, is going to serve every relationship you have. I think it's really important when you're single, because, and by the way, maybe you're in that stage where you enjoy being single. Like, there was a time where I was like, man, I am so fired up that I'm like totally secure in my life. I didn't need someone else. I was like, me and God are like hooked up. Like that's the best relationship. And if someone comes in, great, but if someone doesn't, I'm fine too. Yeah. That was such a unique space to be in. So maybe you're in that space or you want to be in that space. I'm not saying that you have to like couple up. But I also think we're designed for community. So I think when I got to that spot, that was also when God said, like, and here's Hillary, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine my life without you in it. Wow. And life is a million times better married to Kelroy, and the things that he brings to my life that make me Diana 2.0, that make me even better. And I know a big reason for that is because he and I both go to events.
That's awesome.
And it's not me telling him what to do or him telling me what to do. It's both of us attending events and coming back to make decisions of how we as individuals are going to be better. And as a result, it makes us unit better. It makes our hierarchy better as a result. Our cash flow improves as a result. These big events, millions of dollars are spent on it. And it's kind of crazy to think about that we leave to go to these big events where we're technically not working, right? You might think like, wouldn't PHP just want me to like make calls and run appointments and make the company money? And yet, everybody's saying, get to big events where you're not going to be making all the calls and running all the appointments. You're going to be in an audience, listening to speakers at this big event. But it is that important because PHP isn't just interested in people that make sales. We're interested in building leaders. And leaders have to have transformation. You need it, by the way. Especially after the holidays, and you have some New Year's resolutions where you're like, I'm getting in the gym, I'm losing 20 pounds. Anybody have health goals like that? And you said, okay, it's time to get in gear?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So you've got to get to these events, if anything, just to like help to get you around other people that are doing the same thing. The worst thing when, let's say you have that New Year's resolution of losing weight, going to the gym, whatever it may be, and then you have old friends or old habits from the refrigerator, whatever it is, or your bed, that are saying, no, we don't need to do that. Like, let's just stay as we were in 2025. No big deal. Yeah. But when you go to these events, you will be changed. So, Cornerstone, this is like how you guys were born, by the way. So there's Cornerstone and Nobility. So Andrew, Jennifer, you know who they are, yes? So they are your chairman's councils. They're direct MDs to Kelroy Night. And back in the day, so you see Andrew and Jen that are up here. By the way, you might not be able to see in this picture, but this was our wedding in Hawaii. And you've got Andrew and Jen, if you know Paulette and Sia. Paulette is Patrick and David's sister. A gal named Shauna, she's a marketing director. Crystal and Alfredo, they are executive vice presidents in the organization. I looked at our wedding and I'm like, it's practically all PhD. Like, and you got my sister in there, like you got my family is in there too. But that who we wanted beside us was our PhD family. Mm-hmm. And that speaks volumes. But these, during PHP, these were unions, these were relationships that were really powerful. But Cornerstone, I put this arrow here because when I launched that team name, this was back in 2015. And so I announced it to the group, and I don't think any of you guys were even born in the business yet back then. It was like we were up in the mountains at this retreat, which we couldn't fit there as an organization anymore now. But this lady, she comes up to me and she hands me that arrow. And she said, oh, you must have got this, because it says, Jesus, chief cornerstone, Ephesians 2:20. You just launched the team name is Cornerstone. I find this Cornerstone arrow on the ground. Of course it's yours. And I'm like, no, it's not. But we both were like, oh, that's so cool. That's so crazy of like God just kind of giving us this wink of, yes, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So you'll find in this business what I found in this business during PHP. Even if it started as I want to learn about money, I want to make extra money, it then became very purpose driven. And it has been that way ever since. The picture here with the Disney stuffed animals, that was my first round of PHP equity that I earned. And I think we were in Orlando, Florida. And so they were handing out, I thought it was the coolest recognition ever. Here's Minnie Mouse, here's Daffy Duck, like all these things. And it's just this huge table of all these stuffed animals. And it seems so silly. And then they're also handing out these FedEx envelopes that have your legal documents that show you are an equity holder of PHP. So that even that contrast of like playtime, kitty stuff, Disneyland, Disney World with assets that are going to set you free financially. Because you stuck it out and you did something that I think at that time, I want to say, well, I think this was my second round of ownership. I'm confused. It's been a long time. But the first round of ownership, there were only 5 of us that qualified. And it was probably, I remember when they launched the qualifications and I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard. How are we even going to do this? And you had to double promote. Any of you excited to hit marketing director this year?
Yeah.
Get a promotion? Yeah. So back then, it was you had to double promote. I think I was a senior marketing director. So I had to go from EMD to SVP. And I'm like, oh my gosh. In 1 year, now mind you, since then people have done that. Back then, no one had done it before. And it was terrifying. But sometimes the things that scare you the most, you gotta just say, I'm just gonna go for it.
Yes.
I'm just gonna give it my best. And no matter what, I'm not giving up. And let's see if we knock it out, and we knocked it out of the park. Weird photos that I put here, the one in the far right corner, that was when we were in Dubai. So PHP had a trip to Dubai, and it might seem kind of silly, but this was something I always wanted to do. I wanted to spoil my staff. So people that worked with me and supported my crazy leadership and business and all that stuff, I wanted there to be times where I got to just spoil them. So I brought my assistant, my PSC, Rita, with me to Dubai. And I don't know if I have her in any of those pictures. She's probably, she's in the background over there, taking some picture over there. But and here I'm thinking like, you've got people like Sheena Sapala, where, we were just like kids running around on sand dunes. You know when you go to the beach and you see the waves, and like we're used to seeing the ocean? It's like that in Dubai, except it's sand. But it's just these waves of sand. You've got Springy in there, you've got Maral Kashishian, who is our now president. Back then, she was the one that just planned the most epic trips for us to go on. Her job prior to being a president's pretty cool. Being the first female president in the entire insurance industry, let alone PHP, is a huge deal.
Yeah.
But I will say, her job prior to that was to literally go on vacation before our trips to make sure that the vacation sold us the dream the most.
Wow.
I was like, what a cool job. So she would send pictures, like, just things like little hints where we're like, oh my gosh, where's Maral? Where are we going? It was like just always, and she has very expensive taste. She has traveled the world, and dang, that was really cool. But this was us in Dubai, and then I've got a picture there of me backstage at MGM where they're putting a mic on me, and just those experiences of speaking on a big stage. Those are things that change you.
Yeah.
So same for you guys. Maybe you have a chance to cross the stage. Maybe you have speaking time. When you're at this event, just curious, is whose first event is next week? And you have one. Awesome. So when you go, just being in the audience and watching, seeing the size of the stage, seeing the size of the audience, I want you to envision that you're the closing speaker of that event. And what it feels like to walk up on the stage. What it feels like for someone announcing you. What song is going to be playing when you walk up on the stage. But those things, they build your identity to start thinking beyond like, oh, I don't know if I can do to, I'm gonna freaking do it. Like, I don't know how else to really look at it. So last one that I'll go over, I'm scared of this. Oh, got a couple more. Okay, good. I stole this from Kelray. So you see more of his face all over there. But we have traveled all over the world. We have done some incredible things. And this business is so worth it. It's worthy of your best effort because it is going to produce the best results. This picture up here, I think this was last year, we were out in Utah for our Million Point Bay Shop retreat. And we had this idea to go up to the top and there's like a lookout where you see everything and it's beautiful, but it was so cold. So you can't tell, I mean, I think we look happy there. We were freezing. We literally got out of our car and we're gonna walk out there, whatever that was. And I'm like, I can't do it, bro. I can't do it all. Take a picture of the parking lot, let's get back in the car. That was it. Quebec City, this was us in Canada, staying in that beautiful castle, amazing. This was, where was this? We got, where was this? This was Costa Rica. This is my dad here. This was before Kelray and I were married. And every trip, I would take a family member on a trip. So my dad went to Costa Rica. He still talks about it, by the way. Like, this was a long time ago, and he still talks about this trip. And Kelray and I, we just launched for our team that we're going to do a Costa Rica trip this year.
Nice.
So Kelray and I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
oh my gosh, the team's fired up. I said, my dad's going to kill me if we don't take him to Costa Rica. He's been talking about this every year, like forever and ever. We're like, here we go, his same story. So I've got to run it by Kelray, but I have a feeling we'll be taking my parents
That's
there as
awesome.
well. But waterfalls, like I think after this, it was like you do this little hike and there's like this mud area where you just put like clay mud all over yourself. I want you to imagine Matt Sapala doing this with John Mason, if you know who those folks are. Just a little bit of seeing them all covered in mud and taking pictures of themselves together. Anyway, but like just really special. You've got pictures with Kobe Bryant, like these are speakers that we've had at our events, and you know, the fact that Kobe Bryant has passed away makes it even more sad, but also special, like what do you kind of, that was the last major event that he spoke at. And it's not only to hear him speak from the big stage, but also to talk with him behind the scenes and just what a down-to-earth, cool guy he was. France, there was another trip to Paris. That was Kelray's first time there. He's from Hawaii, so he's like, France, it's really far from Hawaii. I'm like, oh, we're Hawaiian in Paris. Like, it'll be fun. This was us in Monaco on a yacht. Again, these are all things that PHP has done. I think that was Cancun last year, Hawaii. I don't know where that is. That was Quebec City. This was in Hawaii. How about this? We have a couple of offices on Oahu. And true story, when I was a field assistant, not even a marketing director yet, I got pulled in a raffle to go to a Hawaii trip. And so I was the poorest person that was there. It was like all these MPs and up that made a bunch of money and had rings. And I had $40 in my bank account. And I was like, do I really belong here? And I remember just standing, my feet in the sand, and just thinking, Diana, but this could be your life. You know, you could choose to work hard, sit down for 3 or 4 months, and build something that belongs to you. Versus what you're doing at your job that belongs to someone else. You could put your head down for 3 or 4 months, build something that's yours, and every 3 or 4 months, pick your head up in a place that's beautiful, like any of these, where you're just looking back at what went well, and getting re-engaged on reasons why you're building the business, who you're building it for, and then get back to work. And I remember making a decision of like, I made a decision when I was in Hawaii as a field assistant. That was a big event for me. You're going to make decisions at your big event next week that are going to define the rest of your life. And I hope they're decisions to go do something big as opposed to doing something small. Because I had people that left big events. This was my first big event. There was this guy next to me who was on the phone with his girlfriend. His girlfriend didn't go to the event. And you could just see, we're all excited, we're getting on flights back home. And I remember I wasn't even licensed. I'm like, I'm going to knock out my it. And I was excited. You could just see it, almost like the life in him sort of going away. Where he was, because you could tell she was on the other line saying, 30 minutes, or whatever it was. So he made the decision at that big event to quit. And I want you to think about, like, would you like to override an organization like Cornerstones? That has a Chris and Steph Solis, that has a, Andrew and Jennifer Gaines, like all these big players. And that guy technically invited me to the business, so he was technically my upline. If he had just stuck it out, he could have retired just on the override. So that's how big your decisions are. I want you to think about that. I look at so here's another decision that maybe as bad as that guy. That one, like, you don't even speak his name because it's almost like, ooh, don't say it. No one wants that, right? But I think of another guy who built up a code number, and what's so cool is that your code number has value. And if you did want to totally retire, which he wanted to do, you could sell your code number. And so he sold his code number. And I think Matt Cipolla and Jose Gaitan split the code number. That guy's retired and he is fine financially. But to look at Chris and Messina Arts, who are $2 million earners in the company, that used to be direct to him. So he got, he got a 7-figure check when he sold his code number. But imagine getting, I don't know, a 7-figure check in overrides year after year in the future. You hear what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, I want you to think of, you might be in those beginning stages right now, where you're like, Diana, I just failed my test for the 3rd time. Like, take it the 4th one. Or, yeah, my best friend still thinks that this business won't work for me. Don't let your best friend's small thinking be what keeps you from having something crazy. So, and I mean crazy awesome. It's like, well, what if I don't make it? What if I fail again? What if my best friend is right? What if your best friend is wrong? What if I am right? What if you're going to be a $2 million earner in PhD? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're hearing from somebody who had $40 in her bank account when she was pulled in a raffle to go to Hawaii when I was a field associate. I was nobody. I wasn't doing anything. I was doing a little bit, but I'm like, nothing that anybody ever knew. And I just was like, man, Hawaii is so special. And it's kind of funny, I feel like God just sort of laughs upstairs where he's like, you have no idea what your life is going to look like down the road. Because I later married a Hawaiian. And we opened offices in Hawaii. And now we go to Hawaii 3 or 4 times a year. We write the whole thing off because we meet with clients. By the way, we meet with agents because we've got marketing directors that are out there. We run BOMs. And we also, like this picture on the far right, that's us just walking by the beach outside Kelray's house. Now, mind you, where Kelray comes from, like his neighborhood, there is I think there's maybe 1 street light and 1 stop sign. And then you're out of his town, right? Like, that's it. But look, I mean, it's kind of hard for you to see that one, but it is gorgeous. Where you just walk out of his parents' house and you're at the beach. So beautiful. Anyway, you kind of get the idea with some of these photos. The last thing I'll share is this one. So Shannon and Laui TT is his full name, Togwaka, okay? These are awesome Polynesian names, right? So they had a marketing director last year, and we had a contest going that for our base that when we're hit MD, we were taking them to Cabo. That's where we went last year. So we took them to Cabo, and just quick story even for Shannon and Lau. I think it was 2 years ago that it was their first big event. So Lau connected with Kelroy on social media, and they live on the same island. They just kind of crossed paths. And Kelroy had been following up with him probably for a year or 2. So it wasn't like, so by the way, if you have anyone who's invited to the event or invited to come to this office and they have ghosted you or haven't shown, just keep following up. Because finally, Lad's like, okay, yeah, he works for Southwest. I'll get a flight, I'll meet you at MGM. And Kelroy said, I've got 2 tickets, can you bring your wife? And so he didn't even tell Shannon
that it was for a PhD event. He just said, pack your bags, we're going to Vegas. And she's like, I love gambling, you know, and so, like, tricked her, right? And so, I've had this before where someone's like, ooh, that spouse looks like she's really not happy to be here. Sharon was not that way. Sharon came to the event, of course, she's like, wow, what is this? I thought I was going to play the slot machines. And now I'm listening to the speakers on this big stage. She stayed for the entire event. She wasn't even recruited, she was just, Lau wasn't even recruited. They were just guests of ours. Leaving the event, we had our emergency meeting, and Sharon's like, we're getting a 10-pack ticket.
No way. Wow.
Now, they didn't do very much after that. Where it's like, oh, we're excited, we're like, oh my gosh, Shannon, wow, we're gonna be awesome. And then they kind of didn't really do anything until October rolls around, and we had a Utah retreat. We had another event. People make decisions at these events. It's like, you gotta get out of your normal day-to-day so you can make decisions that benefit your life. And so it was October, this was not last year, the year before. And October rolls around, and they made a decision, we're going on an MD run. And so last year, first quarter, they went on that run, hit MD, went to Cabo, and now they're marketing directors that run one of our offices in the water, which is really cool. But I wanted to tell you that story because that's a great example of people that weren't even recruited. Maybe Lau was recruited. I don't actually remember. He wasn't doing anything. If he was recruited, Kelbridge just covered him. He was not like, there was no activity going on there. But that was the result of them becoming marketing directors was a result of Lau getting his spouse to big event and Kelroy following up. Following up of like, you gotta be there, even though Lau just like goes to him and talk to him for 6 to 12 months. So the power of this and following up. The last pictures that I'll show you, it's kind of cool. There's some things that I gotta update on this guy. But here's the squad today, which is pretty cool. And we were out in Nashville, and I had a couple people that were like, Diana, we got our watch, you gotta put our picture on there. I'm like, oh, there's too many. Hurry up and get your ring, and then we'll put you on there. But this is, and by the way, even this picture of the team, this was like, I don't know, a few years ago. So we were like way bigger than that. But it's almost like, who cares? Because you can't even see the people in the back of this picture. But this is our organization today. And I'm not going to tell you story after story, but you probably recognize some faces on there.
Diana, I have somebody who's complaining to me in the back. He said, why isn't my picture there?
I gotta go.
He has his watch, but then it said, it's because you're still not.
We have a couple of non-MDs that have their watch too, and they're not on there either.
He took it really personal. He said, I don't like this. I don't like this. Gotta get your 6 figures.
But you know what you gotta do? This is how you gotta be the best promoter of you, is you gotta find a way to steal my phone number from Chris and have where you just send me a picture where it's got you on there, right? Or like just in case you want to put it on there. Just in case, and like maybe every few weeks you just resend it again, right? Like just be relentless about it. But yeah, even there's a gal up here, her name's Vincy, she's a ring earner. She was a guest in the too. She was a guest, and her Alfredo Garcia was the one who invited her, and he was just trying to make it easy for her, of like, hey, just make it out there. They didn't really know each other. I forgot how they met. It was basically like a cold prospect, and he was like worried that maybe she was gonna not want to show because of the cost. He's like, you need to share a room with my wife and I, and Vincey's like, whoa. I don't even know you. So she almost didn't go because she was like, that's weird. But then she went, she did not share a room, and she ended up coming back, making decisions. She became an MD, makes $100,000, opens her own office now in Omaha, Nebraska. But this is where you go to a big event. First of all, this is our meeting, meeting after the meeting, breakout meeting, whatever you want. Like the whole event is over. And look how crazy everybody is. If you know that saying, crazy people make crazy money?
Yes.
We are so weird. And it is so fun. You know, where like if any of you have stuffy jobs where, I don't know, where people are just like stuffy. You are not gonna have that at big event. Like, it is, you're not gonna have that at PHP. It's like, the weirder you are, the better.
It's not.
Suck that dude.
When's your picture gonna be up there? And, what's the cash flow gonna look like? Or how about that? How about, like, even this picture in the middle, would you like to have a team like that? Would you like to have a bunch of people that are just nuts? And more than insurance, you know what's so, like, I'm so grateful that our company is this wacky in like the best way, because it is so fun. There's nothing else I can compare it to except sports. And sports didn't make me any money, unfortunately. Sports, I spent a lot of money, trainers and events or tournaments and stuff like that. Like, I didn't play professionally, but this is a professional sport that you can play that will make you millions and millions and millions of dollars. And when I mean that, the start, you definitely are overworked and underpaid because you're learning how to do it, figuring it out. But eventually it switches to where you are overpaid and overworked because you're just having fun doing it, and it doesn't feel like work anymore. I get off of I landed at LAX after our event, and my client calls me and she's like, "Hey, my rollover check arrived." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'm leaving the airport. I'll just stop by and pick it up from you." So she lives over in Medina. I stopped and picked it. She's like, "Did you literally just get off a plane and the first place you come is to pick up my check?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, back to work here. And she's like, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." And that's gonna be, what is it? Somebody do the numbers. 7.25 is the payout. So whatever that is. So 14 something.
14,000.
The split agent is a field associate in my base. So she's at a 50% contract. What does she make?
3,600 for her. A little
So
over
she makes $3,600, and I am like door-to-door service, picking up the check, drop it off, and she's just like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're about to have 7,000 points this month, so hey, and would an extra $3,600 help you out?" Oh my gosh, like she's so excited, right? And my client's happy, and I don't know how much money I make on that. More. What is it? Chris can tell me what it is. Let's see. Okay, so let's just say, let's say no GB, so 82%.
You're at
We'll just do no
you're making 6,000.
So I mean, is it really?
Plus override?
So what is it, 200,000?
Plus override.
Oh yeah, the override.
25,
Too many.
yeah.
Such a hard life, right? Like, oh my gosh.
It's like 9,000, close to
Maybe
10,000.
more. So 4,500 points is for the bake shop, right? And half of that is my split, so 7,250. No, let's say no GB, just my contract, 82%, so I'm making $6,000. And then I'm overriding, what was the other amount?
32% you're overriding.
Yeah, so 7,250 times 0.32, 37?
32%.
So I'm making another $100 on the override on the split. And my field associate on the team is fired up. And I'm like, "Good, I'm glad you're fired up. Let's go hurry up and get you to my contract. Let's hurry up and get you to marketing director." Oh, getting distracted. I wanted to give you a couple points, and then I'm gonna hand it back over to our host. Okay, so mindsets for the year. We give you 3. And these could be mindsets that are, yes, for the year, but these could be mindsets for you going into this week leading up to big event. And I promise you, there are going to be things that happen that might tempt to derail you from doing the things that you should do to have the best 2026, starting with your event list next week. So here's my first mindset of the year. All distractions are small and manageable. This is like a mantra for you. Because I promise you, we just got back from our big event, and can I tell you how many people, we had one guy who fell he slipped getting out of the shower, and like ate it, like hit, like it's a teeny tiny bathroom. This was at the hotel, landed on the toilet, like he's telling me the whole story. He went to the hospital, no broken bones, but he is just all jacked up, right? And so I told him, I'm like, all right, okay, because he's like, oh, I'm in so much pain, and and I just kind of gave him this like look, and he's like, but Diana, I'm stronger than this. And I'm like, are you? Because you kind of sound like a crybaby to me. And he's like, dang, I can't believe you say that. And I'm like, well, how many times you talk to me, I'm a painter. And by the way, I know you're in pain, but like, get it together. Like that's probably the thing the teenagers would say the most is get it together. But that can be a distraction that where someone goes, oh, poor me, I'm just gonna stay calm. Okay? I've had other people coming back from the event where it was like a financial issue. Health, people that are getting sick, dropping like flies or whatever. Kelroy, something that we can all learn from him is I don't care if he's on death's door. If you ask him, hey Kelroy, are you not feeling well? He's gonna say, I'm fine. I'm fine. Even if he looks like a hot mess, right? He just will never say it. He will never, he's like, if I say it, it becomes real. Versus other people who you ever have folks that are under the weather and they wear it like a badge of honor. Oh my gosh, I'm so sick. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Because you make it bigger than it is. So all distractions are small and manageable. That goes for family challenges. That goes for health, finances, team challenges. Your best guy, your best gal quits, cusses you out and says, I never want to do this business ever again. It is small and manageable. Nothing is too big where you go, oh gosh, my world is ended. If you have a habit of seeing everything as small and manageable, it will be small and manageable. Now, this isn't me this isn't me minimizing the things that we go through. Shoot, I've been through some tough things in my life. But it never serves me to be like, dang, this thing is too big for me to handle. I had a tough conversation with a lady, this was end of last year. She was going through a divorce and a custody battle with her kids. And she was like, I just can't do anything. It's so overwhelming. And I said, I understand. And I, was walking her through some things, but I said, and she was most concerned with how expensive it was getting, just the attorney fees and all this stuff. And she was saying, so I feel like I just can't make it to POM. And I just want you to know, as tough as you think it is now, it is actually only going to get worse. And do you think it is, I mean like the stresses, the how it feels overwhelming, do you think not making money, so if you don't make money in PHP, then that's going to help or hurt when things with your legal battle are going to be tougher and more expensive? So it's going to hurt. So you actually, as much as you feel like, I just want to put my head in covers, you can't afford to do that. Your kids are counting on you. And even if you're just like, shoot, I just don't have anything else in me, I hope the reality in you that it will only be worse if you don't about it today. And that goes for all of us. The things that sometimes feel like our biggest challenges, let's say you're struggling with something with your kids at home, or with bills, or finances, or a health thing, or something, and it's kind of like, that's the reason why I can't do the business, or I can't go to big events. Those things will not go away. What PHP provides is a solution. At a minimum, it's going to provide you more financial resources that usually make everything more manageable, even health stuff. Maybe it's like, if you have more money to throw at health treatments, like that's probably going to be something that can help. But also the resolve that you build on the inside of making that your mantra this year, that all distractions are small and manageable. Watch how powerful you become. Watch how when the enemy starts throwing you all sorts of nonsense that you're just like, ching, 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 you're like, whatever, like you got armor on or you're fried kid or something like that. But where it just doesn't faze you. My second one is my disciplines determine my success. Luck didn't get you here. And the reason why I say luck didn't get you here, good things and bad things. So if you're in your mind right now saying, oh, I'm dealing with all these challenges, or if you're looking at things that have gone well in your life, both the good things and the bad things were not based off of chance. They were based off of good and bad decisions that you made. So sometimes we don't like that, especially when we feel like life is unfair. It's like, dang, you don't know my life, one of those. Well, I probably do. Like I've recruited and worked with a lot of people. I probably relate more than you know. But when we're winning in life, it's because we made some good decisions. And those good decisions were usually just disciplines that we had to do things that maybe weren't the easiest, but we did them anyway. But also, the more you do them, the easier they get. Any of you ever, like the first phone call you made, you were nervous?
Oh, yeah.
I was. Some of you are like, right? There's something, right? Maybe for you it was taking the exam. Maybe it was prospecting somebody. Maybe it was running your first appointment. I think I was nervous doing all of those things the first time. But the more you do them, the more that becomes a discipline, the easier it gets. And then it just becomes, you are successful. I'll use a weird example, brushing your teeth. I don't think any of us find brushing our teeth challenging as adults. But when we were kids, I bet a bunch of us complained all the time. I don't want to brush my teeth, right? For those of us that brush our teeth, I just went to the dentist not that long ago, where I'm always happy, where I'm like, oh, make sure I up my flossing game. Every time, like, usually like a couple weeks leading up to my dental appointment, I'm like flossing religiously, like all the time, so I can get a good report card where the dentist looks at my teeth. But that is, those disciplines make sure I keep my teeth, okay? So it might seem like a weird thing, but the fact that you brush your teeth, and that's not hard, but how can you make things in this business, going to big events, showing up to dealers, having a good attitude, prospecting people, running and all those things where you don't get overwhelmed by that, they become like brushing teeth. Okay, my last one. My decisions determine my disciplines. So the second one is my disciplines determine my success. The third one is my decisions determine my disciplines. So the less uncertain you can be, the easier it is for you to be disciplined. Because I think the biggest two things, like uncertainty is probably one of the toughest things that try to come after you just being successful, is just you being uncertain. Like if you're just like, I'm going to big event, it doesn't matter what comes your way, you'll make it to big event. I don't care if you flat tire, if your boss says I'm going to fire you if you go to this big event, if your dog dies, sorry, if that was, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, but you know what I'm saying, like whatever the things are that can come up last minute, your flight, I had somebody where they went to the wrong airport. They're like, I'm at the gate, I'm like, they went to, maybe not the gate, they're at the airport and they figured out that their ticket, they were like at Ontario and you needed to get LAX or something like that, right? And they had a bunch of, I had one time where I almost, my flight was booked for the wrong month, like somehow, anyway. But this was a couple and they had their kids and it was early morning and it was like, are you gonna figure it out? And they were like, we are not missing this event. And they figured it out. They had to spend a lot of money to book new flights because they missed that one, but they figured it out when they were there. But because they had made a decision already, we're going to be at big event, that they didn't let it go, oh, I guess it's not meant to be. Like you're always looking for a sign to like cop out. You're always looking for some reason to play small or to make excuses. Rather like make bold decisions and just decide that that's what you're about. Because your decisions determine your discipline. So think about, when we make decisions, usually a lot of that, it's who influences us, and it's our environment. This is probably the most high standard environment that for a lot of you were in. It was for me. If you compared it to my job when I worked at that art museum, they just wanted me to show up and do my work. And I showed up late and I left early a lot of days. Like I was sick. Like they weren't that demanding because they weren't paying me very much. They weren't looking for me to become a better version of myself.
They were just looking for me to do my job and then shut up. Kind of thing. This type of environment, when you guys go to your big event next week, it's life-changing. And you need it. So if you're like, for those of you, I've been to events before, I don't need another big event. Oh, yes, you do. It's the fact that you thought that is the reason why you need to go to a big event.
Oh, yeah.
Because the person you are today has gotten you what you have today. And I think all of us want more today.
Yes.
Tomorrow. So we have to become more in order to be worthy of that next best person. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. That's all I got from you today. And thank you so much for having me.
Then we have a gift that we want to give to you. You can open it here, you can open it at home. I've known you to teach me about wine. That's always what yeah, so we have anybody a wine drinker here? Raise your hand if you like wine. Okay, not as much as Diana. Diana taught me how to look at wine, how to smell it, when you look at the glass. Like, she's at a whole other level.